I get asked fairly often is how are you going to teach our salespeople to sell? Are you going to teach them to sell in the same way that you do? And my answer is always no, which initially disappoints people because they see a seasoned professional salesperson come to their offices and sell a product or a solution in a way which appeals to them. They can see it works and they want their salespeople to learn in the same way. But the reason I say no is that everybody is an individual and you can't kind of shoehorn one person into a way of selling if it doesn't match their personality. They'll be able to say the right words, but it's not going to sound genuine, it's not going to sound natural. So then they ask, well, how are they going to sell? And I tell them a story. When I first started leading a sales team back in 2003, I had two ladies in my team. One was called Aida. She was a Bosnian lady. I don't want to stereotype people, but she came across as a stereotypical Eastern European, quite direct, quite focused on what she wanted, very good salesperson. The other person was a lady called Frances, who was from Ireland, and she was as far opposite as you could get from Aida. She was quiet, she tried to be everyone's friend, she wouldn't push anyone into a decision, but she would sell well through the relationship that she built up. And I would sit there and I'd have one on one side of me and one on the other. I'd listen to their calls. And as an inexperienced sales manager, as I was at the time, I thought they could both learn from each other. Both approaches were working. At the end of their first year, their results were within 2 or 3% of each other. But I thought, what if Aida could be more friendly, could focus more on the relationship? And what if Frances could be a little more structured in the way she sold? So I started with Aida. I said, Aida, why don't you learn something from Frances? Next time you pick up the phone to somebody, rather than launching straight into trying to sell what you're selling, why don't you ask them how the weekend was? Try and build a little bit of rapport as well. So I then heard her first phone call. I wasn't listening in, I was sat next to her. And it went something like this. Hi Terry, it's Aida speaking. How was your weekend? Good. Anyway, and then straight into her sales pitch, and it didn't work. It worked for Frances, it didn't work for Aida. And of course they learned little bits from each other, but trying to put one style of selling onto the wrong person just doesn't have the effect you want it to. So this is why we're called Naturally Sales. We want people to sell naturally. We want people to have a structure and a goal and know how to reach that goal, but what we don't want to say is that this is how you do it. We want to help people to find their own styles and learn to do it in their own way. And that's at the heart, not just of our sales training, but our communication skills training, our teamwork. All the way we teach is trying to help people to be natural at what they do, and that's where you get the really best performers. When what somebody is saying matches their body language and perhaps what you know about their personality, that's when people sound genuine, sound believable, and when you trust them. And you cannot overemphasize trust in a selling or communicating environment. So, yeah, why are we called Naturally Sales? Now you know.